Yes, people, welcome back. Man Knows Football. You're here with Guni and Matisse for our weekly link up. I still ain't come up with a name for this. And to be honest with you, it is what it is for now. You get me? But big up to everybody that's in here. I see the early comments. You get me? We see you out here. But yeah, Matisse, bruv, how are you doing, my guy?
I'm good, bro. Busy. Do you know what I mean? Busy. But this is what we want. Do you know what I mean? This is what we want, and it's a whole new thing managing it and whatnot. But this is exactly what we want. So yeah, man, I'm in a good mood. There's a lot of reports that's dropped today. A lot of different, news and whatnot that I've not even seen. So I'm looking forward to discussing it, man, because I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, no, definitely. But before we get on to that, we've got to give a special congratulations. Eunice actually officially got his button today.
Love that.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we've
seen the
definitely got to
picture.
give him a shout out. So big up Eunice. If you're not subscribed to Eunice Talks Football, make sure you subscribe to that channel. Just got his button today. Absolutely deserved from him. But yeah, man, as Matisse said, we've got some stories today, and we're going to start off with one of the articles that came out on The Athletic that
Mm,
mentioned several unhappy players, particularly in our attack.
yeah.
And the basis of that is some of the attackers are not happy at how they've been used at the club. They're not getting enough consistency in their favored roles.
Mm,
And rules are being applied to certain players or not to others. So there's a whole mix up, but this isn't really surprising
no.
because a few weeks back, if you've had your ear to the ground, Christian Pulisic's dad actually came out and said something similar about Pulisic. You know, it was something along the lines of, it's a no-brainer, use him in his best position or something like that. That's basically what he was getting from the whole. That's what I got from the statement. It's like Pulisic has basically said to his dad he's tired of being played out of position. He wants consistency in his normal position. Obviously,
Mm.
this is not concrete. That's just an assumption that I'm making from it. But Matisse, this is familiar. We have been here before, but let me know your thoughts on it, man. What do you know on this so far?
For me, like you said, Pulisic kind of like got the ball rolling. Lukaku really officially got the ball rolling. If we're looking at the attackers with his interview, um, naturally players are not going to be happy when they're not playing well. So that's understandable. I'm not expecting them to be happy with themselves, but they need to take some responsibility for their performances because at the end of the day, I've said it before, these attackers don't really match each other. So
Mhm.
Tuchel, it's not really possible for him to get the best out of everyone. You look at Timo Werner, he wants to play in a front two. Ziyech wants to play on the wing. So unless you're going to play a 4-4-2, you can't get those two really in the same team, or a 4-2-2-2, which he's done. And Timo Werner still didn't perform next to Lukaku. Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi are wingers. You look at, Kai, what position does he really want to play? So there's so much going on in terms of positions and traits and characteristics that are there and that are missing for some players as well. They're very limited footballers, some of them in the attack, as we've said so many times. So they can be frustrated, they can be annoyed, but they need to be more annoyed with themselves because that Everton performance at home, the Wolves, all of these games we've dropped points, Brighton, the amount of chances that have been missed have been, pretty poor on their part. This season's been and for the last few years, it's all been about Chelsea not converting their chances. So if they're annoyed, I can understand that. But if they're annoyed at Tuchel because they feel like they could be used differently or better, then I think they're looking for an excuse too much so and not really, taking some accountability. Tuchel is a very nice manager in comparison to what they could have had. They haven't had Mourinho in his prime. They haven't had Conte. They haven't had these ruthless managers
Yeah.
who will really slap you up in that change room. So it's Ferguson. Like all of this, all of this, Tuchel speaking to me brutally. I tell you something, Tuchel. If you think Tuchel's brutal, then you're probably not cut out for the football club because you're not really going to get a manager as nice as him that comes out, defends his players after matches, comes out and takes responsibility if he feels he's got something wrong. So if he can have accountability and he's one of the best managers in the world, why are very good to kind of sometimes average attackers in terms of performance not being as reflective and taking such a humble attitude that he is and adopting?
No, absolutely, and Matisse. But you know what? I will say there's two particular attackers that I will sort of understand their frustration more than others, and that is Callum Hudson-Odoi and Christian Pulisic, because they have been asked to play in a wing back position. Do you know what I mean? More. So they've had to adapt more so than most in that front line. But even with that, surely at some stage they have to understand, like, there are circumstances that arrive in football that are unforeseen, like, for example, the amount of injuries that we have, and to be part of a team is sometimes to make a sacrifice. So what I'm saying, in my sort of opinion, it's like Tuchel was sort of separated those who can mentally hack these challenges and those that can't. And in a way, I'm sort of seeing it as a positive, because now that's also another angle for him to see who he really wants in his team. Because we also have to remember, this brother he's only signed one player. And right now, I believe that Lukaku was not his first choice option. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. But that's the one player that he's got. So he's still looking at this team and saying, who has the mentality and the ability to stay and to perform at the level that I need them to perform, and who is going to complain at the first hurdle of challenges that we face, who is not going to sacrifice the way I need for the team. So I see a sort of silver lining around that cloud, because I know that at the same time, it's like you said, he is a nice kind of manager, but he's also ruthless as well. To be as successful as you are, you have to have an element of ruthlessness in you. And we've seen him caught slipping before. You remember that before the Champions League final, the way he was berating the players. We don't know what he was talking about, but there was a camera of him just going mental at the players, like trying to get a point across. He turns around and sees the camera and has a laugh. But this is what I'm saying. So this is part of the process. So this could be a positive within itself. But do you see, as a result of this, a couple of players being shifted off possibly in the summer, and that being a positive for us?
100%. I mean, I've been really saying, for me, that at least minimum of 2 attackers need to go. I think that's not it. You know, you do need to restructure some other areas of the team as well. We know we're going to have to bring in a defender, a minimum 1, even if new contracts are signed by a few. And then obviously we need to look at that midfield area again, and that 6th position that we didn't target properly in the summer. And we need to look at the forwards as well, and obviously the fullbacks. Really, it's almost the whole team. And that's why I've kind of personally in my head said we're not going to really, for me, be up there to really go and win the title until 23-24 if we get things right. Because I think next season there's so much upheaval and change that needs to happen behind the scenes and on the pitch in terms of players, that it's very unlikely we're going to get it all done that we need to. So I don't think a lot of these attackers are cut out for, you know, Chelsea standards in terms of being just generally footballers as well. You know, there's, like I said, there's a lot of limitations in their game. So if a couple of them go and they can't handle it, that's of no problem. You know, I think Kepa is a great example of a player that, you know, he's had some problems, big problems. And yes, he's only second choice, so the pressure is not so much. But the guy's had to rise up again and show his value. And obviously that value is extremely high, and he's never really going to reach that being such second choice. But just the fact that he can even come in and do a job and put in performances after everything that has happened at this football club for him in terms of the decline, which was so big under Lampard, almost unheard of in goalkeeping terms at this football club. The rest of the players need to take a leaf at that book a little bit and try and bounce back. I think at the moment, you know, it's hard to pinpoint who and who's the most, you know, discontent, but whoever it is, you know, they're not worth keeping over Thomas Tuchel. And that's the point I always go back to. The manager's more important than all players. You know, Pep had Sané, you know, feathers were ruffled. Yaya Toure, they both went. City moved on. They went on to win. None of these players have achieved enough at this football club in that attack to be stomping their feet about, you know, causing upheaval, causing the manager to go before them. Absolutely no chance. They simply don't have that level of stature at this club. And I don't think any player will ever get that again if things go according to plan, because the manager should be the most important person. So I have no issue with two players going at a minimum, and maybe even 3. If we could really get the money in for some players, I'd probably even go vouch for 3.
Do you know what I want to say about Timo Werner? Because of all the players, that has had a rough time at Chelsea, I think Timo Werner's had it the worst. But at the same time, with that, I think he's behaved the most professionally out of everybody because he's been the most honest. And you see, when he was asked the other day, he said, I don't understand why fans support me the way they do when all I want to do is score goals and it's not going right for me. So
Yeah.
this is a player who's been honest, who's kept his mouth shut, and he's just done his job. Remember, he's been called out by fans. He's literally remember that incident in the stadium with that stupid fan and said, you know what you said about Timo to leave the club. He's had it rough, but I have to respect the way that he's dealt with the situation. And I do actually think that Timo, if he does leave the club and goes back to the Bundesliga, I do see him reviving his career there because A, he's definitely got the mentality, and B, obviously the nature of the Bundesliga where he's going to have a lot more space in front of him. It's going to work out for him. Do you know what I mean? And in a team like Bayern, where they're creating chances galore and they've got top players in there, it's a recipe for success. So if that does come for Timo, we get a bid for him. I wish him the best because he's acted nothing but professional. So that's what I wanted to say about Timo. Ziyech is a funny one because even though he's putting in these performances the way he is, right, I can still see there being room for him to be sold as well. Purely because unless he goes on a very consistent run from here until the end of the season, purely it's that reason. If we're going to be competing, we need more than just sporadic performances or small periods of top form here and there. We need to be able to maintain the consistency. And right now, I'm not allowing myself to get carried away from the Pulisic the Ziyech performances that we've
against
seen.
Tottenham.
That performance was the best performance of his Chelsea career, in my opinion. The goal that he scored, absolutely world class. The balls, the deliveries was on point. You know, he was having joy in his favored right wing position. Who would have known if he played him in his favored position, he performed? Do you know what I mean? But Hakim Ziyech, what's your opinion on him before we move on to the next topic?
I think he's been good. I think he's probably been our second best attacker so far this season, and I think he's edging closer to Mason with these type of performances. And I say that because I don't think Mason's been as good as he was last year. I know statistically he looks nice, but I think performance-wise he hasn't had the same level of influence as he had last season. And I think that's left the door open for maybe Pulisic, maybe Ziyech to leapfrog. But the standards are very low. You know, the standards are very low, and that's the point I want to make. Even if I do end up saying at the end of the season Ziyech has been our best attacker, that doesn't mean it's been a great season. You know, people were saying that Timo Werner had the most goal contributions last year, maybe in our team. That doesn't mean Timo Werner was great either. So it's like, it's good. It's an improvement in some ways, but it's still not really good enough. And that just goes to show how poor the attack has been. You know, are any of these guys in the same form as a Mohamed Salah, as a Bernardo Silva this season? No. And that's the level required to win the league. So until any of them reach that level consistently for a season, they're not doing good enough, especially the ones in their prime who really should be doing that right now. So that's the current situation for me in terms of these players, is that the levels are so low that as soon as they do something great for a game or a great moment, it gets overgassed to another level. And it's like people are starving, man, because Juan Mata was chucking out performances like this every week. Hazard, the same. Normal, bro. You know, and it's not normal right now. So people, when they get it, they're like, oh my God, it's incredible. You only have to go to the statistics. And I wouldn't go to the statistics if the eye test was showing me different, but because the eye test matches the statistics, then it's pretty damning on both sides. That's how it is right now for these attackers.
No, absolutely. And what you were saying just about, you know, the lack of consistency that we've seen in this team is very similar in the transfer market, I feel, you know, because we've been like, we're so hungry to win this league and just to win silverware that we're just winning to take. The grass always looks greener. So like it, for example, in January, we're talking about fans are on their knees for Adina and these guys. But come summer, I know half of these guys, this wouldn't be their number one target. and this is the issue that we're facing at this club. We've stockpiled enough on mediocrity, and we have to stop doing that and start signing primary targets and getting the deadwood out of the club. That is the only recipe for success. That's what we're trying to do here. Actually, do you know what? Another good comment. Big up T-Dot here, because this is something I actually did want to mention. I almost forgot. Nicholas Soulé is actually leaving Bayern Munich. And obviously his contract situation is, I believe it's going to be on a free if it's in the summer. I might be wrong. Someone will probably let me know in the chat. But Chelsea have been long-term admirers of Soulé. And the question here is, do we think it's a good replacement for Andreas Christensen? Personally, all right, I'm going to be honest and say I ain't seen enough of Soulé to make that solid judgment. And that might be saying something, because he's probably not starting enough games for Bayern. I know he's had injury concerns and this and that, but I don't think he would be the sort of replacement for Andreas Christensen that we need. I would rather, again, like, instead of signing him, if we're already trying to sign a Koundé, and we're trying to bring in Colwill back, and we've already got Chalobah and these guys. I don't want to sign just anyone for the sake of being opportunist, because this smells again to me like an opportunist signing, like the Ousmane Dembele situation. Although there's a slight difference with that in the fact that it's quote unquote said Tuchel actually personally wants him, but it's still a bit of an opportunist signing because of the situation around it. But no, I don't want to sign maybes. I want to sign quality now. That's my honest answer for that Christensen replacement, bro. I don't think Soul is that guy for me. What do you reckon, Matisse?
With Saul, I think he had a big injury. You know, he wasn't the quickest in that regard, and people were saying in the Premier League potentially he might get turned quite quickly. I think for me, and if we're serious about this guy, then I need to go and look at his season again so far and go and watch his games properly, because this is not no Mickey Mouse position that he's about to play in. He's about to play as one of the leading potential centre backs, and this is one of our strong areas. I don't know if he's coming in to be rotational. If you know, when we've got Trevor, we've got Colwill. If we do switch to a back four, Silva, Rudiger, he's going to be the fifth centre back to make it a five. Personally, in my head, I had Rudiger, Koundé, Silva, Trevor, and Colwill as the five centre backs next season. I think that's enough. If you go to a back three, Reece James can slot in there as well. We do need another right wing back. We do need another left wing back. So Saul wasn't personally in my head. So I'm not really sure where this has come from. If we're getting Saul, because unless Rudiger's not signing, but if Rudiger's signing, you theoretically say you don't need a left side centre back. You've got Rudiger, and then you've got Levi Colwill to back him up. But again, if TT is a big fan, then obviously that holds a lot of weight. But his performances after the injury have been a little bit up and down. So I need to go back and look at him again. But it's a little bit, it's an interesting one. I have to say that.
Yeah, and again with injuries, another thing, man. These players that we're going for, they seem to have a major injury within their past at some stage, and are still suffering from them. And that's the issue that we have. Why can't we just sign a fit bloody centre back if we're going to sign one? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I don't even feel that we need to sign one. It's like you said, I'm happy with the players that you've mentioned. Trevor obviously has shown his quality this season. Hope long may that continue. Colwill, I feel he will show his quality if he steps up into the team. And Koundé as well, I think he's a good enough signing. I think he's a better option than Soulé, in my opinion, for what he offers as well. So for me, I don't think he needs to be signed. But yeah, let's move on to the famous captain, Mr. John Terry, and his NFT shenanigans. Well, there's quite a few controversies around this. Listen, and one thing I will say is the best way to start would probably be to explain what NFTs are. I'm just going to say this because there are many, many videos that will explain it way better than me. NFT is a non-fungible token. That's all I'm going to leave you with. Go and research the rest of it yourself. It's blockchain art, and I'm not going to go into detail because I know quite a few people that are like purists at this. And if I even make a single mistake, they will cut my head off. So I'd rather you go to the pros to explain it. It's one of those ones. But Matisse, You've also been following John Terry, who's not had Twitter for that long, but since
Was following.
yeah, you was following, but since this NFT thing has come, he's just been. There's so many questions around it. First of all, let's just address the elephant in the room, right? That the Telegraph didn't address. We'll come on to what the Telegraph said though. The guy is using apes or monkeys and sending them to black players.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's like someone is, where is your agent or your publicist? Like,
I don't even think he should have to need that at his grown age now. Let's break this up nicely, because it's the first time I'm speaking about this, right?
Yeah.
I unfollowed him, and I'm sure a lot of Chelsea fans did, because I feel like we were manipulated. I'm going with that new term now, manipulated. He starts a fresh new Twitter account, does a few little bits of propaganda, nice few comments, everybody's waxing lyrical, saying John Terry's on Twitter, oh my God, captain, leader, legend. And then suddenly this NFT wave just comes out of nowhere. Bullshit. He probably started the Twitter account because he was going to do an NFT, because NFT is big on Twitter. So is crypto, all of these things. They're not really Instagram, they're more Twitter, because obviously there's conversations taking place, etc. Just certain things suit certain platforms. And they said to him, well, if you're going to do this, you probably need a Twitter account. I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough. So how are you going to do that? Well, I'll do a bit of propaganda, get myself quarter of a million followers, and we'll go from there. And that's what he's done. And now he's just posting pure NFT all the time, just hammering it down. And signing players. I mean, he's done a Roman 05 type transfer window, signed Willian, Wilshere, Abraham, Jody Morris, you name it, he signed him. But it is a type thing where it's like, read the room, sir. Like, you know your past, you know the allegations against you, you know the situation. Maybe, just maybe, don't post. Like, you yourself don't post what you're posting. But I'm not bothered by it. I'm not really offended by it, because I unfollowed and I was like, I'm not interested in NFT. I'm not interested in blockchain artwork. I'm not interested in any of this at all. I'm just interested in football. That's what people follow you for, is your football opinions or your history, propaganda, whatever you wish, not for the NFT. So if you want to carry on with it, go ahead. But I do think it's a bit of a read the room situation. And the artwork some of it is a bit weird, but it is where it is.
Yeah, I think his particular choice of character is completely questionable. And not only is that questionable, but Chelsea are understood to be, this is from The Athletic, by the way, Chelsea looking into John Terry promoted NFTs that use the club assets and intellectual property. It says here, Chelsea are understood to be taking a look at the sale of digital artwork being promoted by John Terry, which uses the club's badge and intellectual property. The Athletic understands UEFA are investigating the issue. The Premier League is also seeking legal advice about the issue because its trophies, which it owns the trademarks for, are being used in non-fungible tokens, NFTs, alongside depictions of the FA Cup and Champions League trophy, trademarks owned by the FA and UEFA respectively. Now, there's nothing that mentions about the controversy of him using apes and sending them to quite a few players and given his past,
which is surprising, right? Because it's quite a clear thing. The only reason why I say I'm not offended is because I've got very thick skin, and you have to do a lot to trigger me with racism at this point. I've gone through so much, as we all have at this point. It's very numb, and that may be sad for people to hear, but I've said this before. I'm very numb to most of this stuff now. You know, we get it, but which doesn't make it okay, by the way. We shouldn't have to be numb.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
But John Terry, you know, with all of that following, you know, come on now. It's like, use your brain. And for me, you do work for the club now, I'm pretty sure. So, you know, again, use your brain. But this is why personally, when people are talking about him as manager, not only do I not want a club legend as manager anyway, for the pure fact that I'm kind of sick of it at this point, in terms of, you know, the emotional attachment building up, and them not really being quite ready. It's just things like this. It's like just unnecessary heat that he will attract to himself just naturally, just by doing what he does. Now, I know the cartoon is a popular you know, cartoon or avatar, whatever the hell you want to call it, for NFT, and he's sending it obviously to any race. It doesn't matter, you know, if you're white, black, whatever, you know, you're obviously getting the same avatar cartoon. But it's just, again, it's another read the room situation. It's another unnecessary public publicity situation that is kind of now that people have to talk about and deal with, and the club are now involved in, and the Premier League as well. It's just unnecessary attention once again. Is kind of where I would, put it.
And to be honest with you, I think if John Terry never really had that on his record, do you know what I mean, that the controversy from before, then it wouldn't be as big of a deal as it is. Wouldn't make it right, but I can see why he's at the front of it. And also as well, I've got to be fair on John Terry that he's not the only player that is being mentioned in the article. Apparently, Ashley Cole, obviously, as we know him, former Chelsea legend, has also been implicated in this investigation if it is to be taking place. So I'm sure there will be many other players who will be caught up in this, who are part of this NFT thing and have basically committed copyright infringement, because that's what the article is about. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And listen, to those who do know a lot more about NFTs than I do, and maybe even Matisse does. Like I don't. I'm exactly. I'm very new to this, so what I'm saying might sound very ignorant. I did not know that the ape was a common avatar, for example, for the NFT. Yeah, so we're just, this is new to us basically. But yeah, obviously Matisse.
But also the point is that to make that great point, not many people are going to know, so it's a bit tone deaf. That's the point. It's a very niche community of people that have obviously stumbled onto whatever the hell it is, and they're on that train. But when I don't want to link it to another individual, but I'm not even going to do that. But if you've it would have been interesting if you've got a following that you've built up of Chelsea fans throughout any age range that look up to you because you're captain, leader, legend, adults, children, teenagers, whatever, and then you throw that into your account, no word of warning, no one knows what the hell anything means, no one knows what's going on. It's a bit tone deaf, and it's a bit irresponsible in my opinion, because that's not what people are following you for. So some sort of explanation, or, do you know what I'm saying, would be great, because it's a bit off, it's a bit random, do you know what I mean, for a lot of people. And like you said, a lot of people are not going to know about what the symbol represents or all that kind of stuff. So it is what it is.
No, facts. And the last topic that we're going to talk about is our very own from Cobham Inc., Armando Broja, who is at Southampton and is having a good spell at Southampton. And Hasenhuttel has come out several times and said that he does love the player. They all love him at Southampton. They want him to stay permanently. They even came out and said he wanted to stay there permanently at some stage. But Tuchel, about a week ago, came out and said that he is a Chelsea player. And it has, since then, it has been widely rumored that Tuchel is a big fan of him and does have plans to use him next season. But could a £25 million bid for the youngster tempt them to sell? That is my concern. Sometimes Chelsea are business over football. And this is a situation where I really, really hope they're going to back the manager and keep the player. But it was Fabrizio Romano that did tweet it from his account. So it is from somebody who you would consider top tier. But what are your thoughts on this, Matisse? Do you reckon we could see Armando Broja leaving the club on a permanent?
I really hope not, because I'm not too sold on what the hell is going on with Lukaku. I think, decisions will have to be made in the summer on what we're doing with him, because I think it's plainly obvious that he's not so far fitted in very well, and he hasn't helped that with the fact of what happened last month. So for me, or earlier, last month. So for me, when I look at the situation, I say to myself, he's one of those players you have to keep, surely. Newcastle, like you said, 40 million here on the screen, Southampton as well. People are going to start dashing money at Chelsea, and it's very, very much going to show their future strategy and planning, how they take these offers, because they could just take the cash, like you said, or they could think to themselves, well, we just let go of quite a few youngsters last window. A lot of them are proven to be pretty good. And we could probably do with some of them right now. So we're going to make the same mistake again. and bring in new players in his position, because you may do that or you're going to keep him. For me, it's a must keep. The player looks like mentally and playing style wise, he's fit for the Premier League. He looks aggressive enough for it. He gives me Diego Costa vibes a little bit.
Bruv,
And
say that.
I'm kind of done with the big names. If Lukaku doesn't work out, I'm not really interested in Haaland. I'm not interested in Vlahovic. Call me a crackhead, but I'm not. I'd much prefer Broja.
Let's go to Cobham.
Yeah, just go with Broja, go with Kai, and bring in maybe a goal scoring attacking midfielder or a goal scoring winger, and just go back to pressing from the front, aggressive from the front, trying to win the ball high up, trying to create chances from high up. And yes, we do need more clinical attacking midfielders or clinical wingers. That is the main issue. Not really the approach, but more so the profiles of the players in there where they just can't finish. They're not clinical. So that's kind of how I see it. And I put up a tweet and people will maybe think it's a bit reactionary, but I did say in January, after what Lukaku done, I would have happily let him go out on loan at a loss if money wasn't an object and bring back Broja. Because I'm just like, I'm all about the squad being unified, and I don't want anybody. I don't want to be anybody in that squad who even has insinuated some drama, and now other players are like, he could be spitting facts. And then the dressing room starts to have problems, and then these reports come out of players are unhappy. I'm not interested in any of that shit under Tuchel. If you're causing any of that, or you've even started the spiral of that, just leave. Do you know what I'm saying? Just leave, and leave as soon as possible if you're not on board. Because football ability or is not always what that's not always what gives you the momentum in a title race or the momentum in a manager stint. You need personality. You need
look at United.
You exactly. Look at Man United, all the ability that they have in their attack and their squad, and still no sort of trajectory in terms of being upwards this season. Look at Liverpool. I've said it so many times. Liverpool's squad, player for player, isn't the most talented in the world. They have a lot of like utility, hard-working, committed players in that team, especially in that midfield previous years. But again, the overall environment, the energy that they're creating under Klopp is very, unified, and there's nobody going and trying to go against the grain and cause upheaval. It allows the squad to focus on results and get those results. And I think mentally, this squad is a little bit all over the place right now after what's been happening over the last month, and that doesn't help no matter how good a footballer you are. So I think I would love to see Broja here next season, and I think he needs to be part of the plans 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said like he reminds you of Diego Costa. I've been saying that as well, man. Just like, how he just doesn't give up on nothing, and that just that aggressive nature of just pressing everything, bro. I love that about him, and just like he's capable in front of goal as well, and he's just going to develop on that. There's a reason why these clubs are chasing him the way they are. 40 million euros is a big bid for him at the age he's at now, and Newcastle, they mean business. Apparently the reports on Bruno Gomes is a bit premature, but the bid is serious. But there's, as far as the reports of him actually agreeing and going to Newcastle, apparently it's not quite at that stage. But it still shows their intent. But Broja, that's a player that we've got to keep at the club 100%. We're missing it. We're missing him now, I feel. But at the same time, I'm happy at the fact that he's still at Southampton and we haven't triggered back that recall. We just leave him there, let him just settle there and play his football, get his goals, get his experience where he knows he's going to be playing a lot of football. I think that's definitely the safest bet with him, man. And I have to say, Matisse, bro, like the whole taking the risk, you're right. They're taking the risk on these 100 millions and 80 millions and 90 million players. Look, I mean, there's exceptions to the rule to that. Erling Haaland at this stage, I don't care. I'd just take him 100 million, but he's not even going to be going for that. But if we,
what? For me now, when I look at Erling Haaland, 100 million plus whatever his agent fees plus Raiola, I actually wouldn't. Because, and I think we're seeing that with Manchester City. Manchester City could have easily probably gone in for Erling Haaland, and maybe they still will, but they brought in Alvarez instead mid-season. Who's coming in at the end of the season for 20 million. And who knows what that player is going to become. I look at Erling Haaland and I say to myself, we probably have the same issues. You're still going to have the drama because instead of Haaland talking himself, you're going to have Raiola chatting shit in the media constantly. So you're still going to have the drama. You're still going to have the unsettled situation because he's not going to finish his career here. Everybody knows that. He's going to go to Real Madrid. He's going to go to Barcelona. So if you didn't like Lukaku speaking about Inter Milan and you didn't like Hazard speaking about Real Madrid and you want players to be having their final destination here, you're not going to get that with Erling Haaland. And he's still a striker that doesn't really want to or really can create opportunities for himself. He's still a striker that needs service. He's still a striker that isn't going to create for himself and isn't the best target man in the world. He is still a striker in the Bundesliga that has been operating in more space. Yes, he's a great player, but there are still some parts of his game he will need to improve. And I can just see the same crap happening at Chelsea, to be honest, because at this point, every single striker seems to come here and struggle. They haven't yet eclipsed Tammy Abraham's first season at the club, and that speaks volumes, especially when he picked up an injury mid-season. So I don't think there's any big name out there that I really want now. I'm really over it, properly over it. When I'm saying Erling Haaland and I'm still like,
you're serious.
I really don't care.
You're serious.
For me, it's Broja. For me, it's got to be Broja gets an opportunity, and I want to see a different type of attack building now. Not these players that are very so you need to service them completely, and you need to almost be one-dimensional in terms of servicing them. Mm-hmm. When we had Hazard and we would just it was a one-man band. That's basically what Lukaku is made our attack again, is a one-man band. It has to be towards him.
Totally towards
but the difference is that the difference between him and Hazard was a player that could do everything and do anything out of nothing and was clearly the best player. So it was worth going through him. Lukaku, on an ability standpoint, you wouldn't say he's so clear that he is the go-to guy that, if you give him everything he needs, we're definitely going to win a title. He still hasn't won a Premier League title. And he still has areas of his game that you can say, okay, that's not great. That's not great.
He's a specialist kind of player. He's very good at just very few things.
Yeah.
When you ask him to do more, like for example, if you ask him to beat a man, it's the worst thing you can look at. It's horrible to look at. Lukaku one-on-one with any defender is just horrible. His touch is not always reliable. Do you know what I mean? It's just so many things with Lukaku that it's just not worth it. But I agree with you, bruv. With Broja, definitely. Haaland, I can't agree with you. My agenda with that one flies. I don't care.
He probably would be better than Lukaku, Haaland, because he's younger, and I think he's got less of an ego. I hope so.
He's got the right ego. I'll say that.
I think he's got the right mentality and the right type of ego. But I just don't think value for money. I don't think it's worth shelling out how much we're going to have to shell out. It wouldn't be 100 million. It would be actually this season.
I think it's 70 million in the summer, but then
you're
going to have to pay north of 400k. Then you're going to have
the wages. For me, when people see the money's lower, the money will be recirculated elsewhere. Like if the money transfer fee is lower, the wages will be higher. The agent fee to Raiola will be higher. The bonuses will be higher. So you're still paying a lot. Don't get it twisted. You're still paying minimum probably 150 million, 120, 30 million for Erling Haaland. So it's just not going to happen anyway. So for me, there's no point even thinking about it, because when you put your eggs in the Lukaku basket for 100 million plus 300 plus grand wages in a week, you're not getting Haaland. He's going to go to Real Madrid or he's going to go elsewhere. That's going to be clear.
No, absolutely. And that dream was over. I think our best chance of getting him was in the summer, but even then, what they was asking for him was ridiculous. And I can understand 100% why Chelsea pulled out. It wasn't the 150 million, I think, was the problem. It was what Raiola was asking for. And obviously Haaland's wages on top of that, because I believe last summer was the last transfer window, or the last summer where agents can get more than, is it 10% or 20%? There's a figure that they can't ask for more than. So that was part of the reason. But going forward, it's pretty obvious that Haaland is going to Real Madrid. I think Mbappe is going to be going there as well, because remember, he's going to be free in the summer as well. So that rebuild at Real Madrid is going to be crazy. It's going to be a Galactico thing all over again with them.
100%.
But yeah, Matisse, before you go, because we're about to hit the 45-minute mark, let the people them know what you've got coming up this week, man.
It's a lot of it's been a stressful day. There's a lot of moving about, a lot of moving pieces. Obviously, I'll be uploading later on today the Premier League piece that I did with Alex this morning, talking about Tuchel's first year in charge. And I'm looking forward to putting that up. Obviously, it's his anniversary today, first year he's had at the club, and there's obviously a lot to reflect on there. I didn't, in that piece, reflect too much on the drama this morning because I wanted to read it for myself personally, properly as well, before I spoke about it on TV. Only responsible thing to do. And also, I don't want to blow it out of proportion if it's not as bad as the headlines look. So I need to go over that. But All You Can Eat Chelsea will be tomorrow. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about transfers and all that good stuff as well. And then London Club's Carnage will come on Friday instead as well. And there might be, hopefully, a journalist book for the weekend and content and so on. So Twitch is later on today as well. So yeah, there's loads of stuff coming up on the daily. And yeah, I'm looking forward to putting out the content, man. I really am.
No, 100%. And again, I know I've got your forgiveness for Friday, but I was supposed to be on I was supposed to be on the show on Friday, and it was my fault. I got the times completely mixed up with the whole Eastern and the GMT thing. That day was a madness, and so it is my bad. I put my hands up. Friday, we on for Friday. Yes,
yeah, 8 p.m. this week. Yeah,
you will find 100%. Me there on Friday. Is that going to be on Twitch?
On Twitch, yeah.
It's going to be on Twitch.
I'm going to be streaming on Twitch full time on the 1st of February onwards. I won't be streaming on YouTube, doing any watch-alongs or live content on my channel. It will be on Twitch. The live stuff and the videos will be on YouTube. So it's going to be compartmentalized a little bit there. But yeah, with Unison Miz guys as well. Yeah, 100%.
Quick question before you go from Trey Arsenal. Aubameyang swap for Lukaku. Would you, man, take it? Listen, I don't want Lukaku at my club the way I feel now, but I still wouldn't have Aubameyang at my club. Don't think he's
I take Aubameyang? If you know me, you know I wouldn't. But if you don't know me, which you don't clearly, I wouldn't take Aubameyang. Like you couldn't pay me. You couldn't pay us to take Aubameyang. Like if you paid us 5-10 million, I still wouldn't want Aubameyang. That's how against that move I am. So absolutely not. It's another forward that is limited in a few areas and needs certain types of service, and he's obviously on the wrong side of 30 and on ridiculous wages. So absolutely not. No, thank you. There's a few more questions. I mean, yeah, Twitch is free. You just need to download the app. Me and Guni, Cheyenne and Shane will be on Friday at 8 p.m. there doing our show. America is Blue. So that is free. You just need to download the app, and then you'll find me. Same as all the socials as usual. Matisse Armani on Twitch. You'll find it there. And yeah, like I said, All You Can Eat Chelsea's tomorrow at 11 a.m. Live show. Live show.
And I did forget to say Matisse's social media details will be down there in the descriptions as well as mine. Make sure you follow all of those. And yeah, man, you already know, man, until tomorrow, I will be jumping back on the live. Perhaps I'm going to I might do it on my ones, and get 1 or 2 people in the chat involved in a quick Q&A, man. So make sure you smash up the like button before you go. Share the thing. You already know, man. Oh yeah, also we're on the way to 5k subs. When I last checked, we was 25 away. So people, help us make it happen. Let me reach 5k before the 29th of January, which is my birthday. That would be an amazing birthday present if you could do that. But yeah, man, like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Follow us both on our social medias down there. Subscribe to Matisse, all of that good stuff. Bless up, people.